show who you are. Good riddance. Is you kidding? Bid the forbidden. As it was written, you overbidding. With the heathens, karma is a bitch, so how you living? Pray for my enemies, unforgiving. Cast the pearls on hog moms and chitlin'. If it's too hot, get your ass out the kitchen. Finger licking good, good looking. Stewing in the stew, I'm cooking. You psyched out, paranoid and shookin'. Shook the table, fades I'm booking. Get prepared for this ass whooping. Listen to the words being spoken. You were talking, I'm awake and woken. While I'm spitting this, got your spit, got choking. Era up, a glimpse in my world, eyes shut open. Parallel in my mind, I'm chosen. Reverse the time, heart frozen. Antarctica, cold as ice. Casting lots, rolling dice. Mean as nails, I'm nothing nice. They persecuted me like they rejected Christ. Aww.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now.
Oh, so I was just talking and nobody heard nothing I was saying.
Turn it up. Turn it up.
Okay, can you hear me now though?
Yeah, you got to turn it up. You're real low.
Real low. What about now?
Turn it up. You're real low.
Oh my god. What is y'all listening to me on? The mic is on 100 damn near. Okay. Let me check. So anyways, I'm sorry guys. Let me start over with my introduction. Welcome
You
to
can't even hear you. You can't even hear you on the TV.
Really?
You can't even hear you. You can't even hear you on the TV.
Oh my god. I'm gonna go do this. Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yeah, we hear you.
You hear me now?
Yep.
So I'm
Now you went back down. You went back down.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Hear
Testing
you
one.
now.
Oh, this mic is tripping. I'm gonna just put it on my regular speaker mic. That way we don't have to get my regular mic for my computer. How about now?
Perfect.
Okay, good. Thank you. I don't know what's going on with my little soundboard. Sorry, everybody. Okay, welcome to episode of Mouth Off with Meika, where we bring you unfiltered conversations with extraordinary individuals who have unique stories to share. Today we have a special guest, Therin Hit-Sta Mcguire. Therin's life is a testament to power and perseverance and the impact of having a plan. From overcoming obstacles and building a successful career, Therin has faced life's toughest challenges head on. He's also navigated the personal trials of losing loved ones, a spouse, struggles with fatherhood. I'm excited to dive into this remarkable journey and uncover the wisdom he's gained along the way. Let's get started. Welcome, Therin. How are you?
I'm fine, but we first need to apologize for the people for you
I'm so,
being 14 minutes late.
okay. It's 14 minutes.
Yes.
I apologize. I was trying to get there on time. I didn't know. I'm sorry. Um, so, Therin, can you start by telling us a bit about your background and how you got the nickname Hit-Sta?
Well, I'm a 70s baby to start off with, and early 70s at that. Um, Throughout my earlier elementary school years, um, I did not like bullies. And what I did was I asked kids or whatnot, my peers, that if they would pay me, I would protect them from the bullies. So they was feeling that. So they was bringing me $5, $10, and at that time that was a whole lot of money. And I would protect them from the bullies, meaning that if a bully came up to them, then I'm stepping in and taking that fade if they want to take it that far. And what had happened was I had accumulated, probably $60, $70, and I had it at home, and the money was found. And so I explained to my mother what the money was for, and she had misinterpreted thinking that kids were paying me to go beat up people as in like a hitman, and that's where that name actually came from.
Uh, can you tell us how? I'm so sorry. What was the pivotal moment or influence in your life that set you on the path towards entrepreneurship?
The pivotal moment,
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting in my garage and I was noticing Hispanics driving through the neighborhood collecting metal as far as recycling it. And I wanted to find out if there was actually any real money in that. So I bought a trailer and I started following in their footsteps in essence, which really, in hindsight, we got to give props to Fred Sanford and Son, because they was doing this type of thing way back then. And I saw that there was a few dollars in it. It took a little time to build up or whatnot, and I started doing that. And then I was also inspired, which leads me to where I'm at right now, by also seeing or thinking back to when I was a kid, how we had the gardening landscaping business going. And it was basically kids my brother's age, because he's 8 years older than me, and his friends would go through the neighborhood with lawnmowers and equipment to use to cut people's grass, and they would get paid for that. And this is something that we did back in the 70s, in my in my time, in the 70s, to make extra money on the weekends. And at some point we lost that, and that trade transpired into going to somebody else, and they ended up basically dominating the field. So about 12 years ago, sitting in my garage once again, and I see a few trucks pull up, and the workers jumped out, and they cut 3 yards in about 15 minutes. It was three individual trucks pulled up at the same time. And I'm like looking, and I'm looking at the shape of the trucks. I'm looking at the type of trucks they are and whatnot. Some of them were newer models. And I'm like, man, they getting their bread. I know they getting their bread without a shadow of a doubt. And so I went to a couple of yard sales, picked up a lawnmower, picked up a weed eater, and Craigslist was popping at the time. And I advertised on Craigslist, and the rest is history. And at this point, I have a pretty successful landscaping business where right now I maintain 31 properties myself, and I do a variety of everything as far as not only maintenance of yards, but actual designing of landscaping, removing of trees, the whole gamut. And so that's one of the things that I'm into right now.
I'm sorry. Hello. Can you
Yes.
hear me now? I have been muting my mic, so sometimes I have to unmute it. Can you share can you share some key challenges you faced after you was released? Well, can you talk to us about you going to prison and how that happened?
Well, I was a hardhead from Jump Street, and I actually experienced my first incarceration back in 1983. I was 10 years old, and I was arrested for a schoolyard fight. I wasn't arrested at the time. I was arrested about 2 days later. The detectives came to my house, and I was the only one home at the time. And they knocked on my door. I answered the door. They asked me if my name was who I was, and I said yes. And they told me they was here to arrest me for a fight I had in school. So at that point, I began to panic somewhat, and my telephone rang. And so I went to answer the phone. It was my mother. And I'm like, Mom, the police is here to arrest me. She's like, what? Put them on the phone. So I tell him, hey, we didn't have cordless phones and those things, so they had to come to the phone. I'm like, hey, my mom on the phone, she want to talk to y'all. So the detectives come in the house. I was home alone. They come in the house to get on the phone. Well, when they come in the house to get on the phone, I go in my room and jump out the window. I'm gone. I ain't going to jail. Bottom line. So I came back later on because I think they came to the house. It was probably around that 3-ish area, a little bit after school. And so I ended up coming back probably about 6 o'clock. And by that time, my father had came home. And so when I came home, the detectives were still there and they was talking to him. And he like told me the deal. Hey, they here to take you. Go on and cooperate or whatever. So, man, they put me in them cuffs, man. They ran me down to Van Nuys Division. That was my first experience with law enforcement. Of course, they turned me loose right after they booked me. I didn't do any time at that time, but that was my introduction. And to tell you the truth, it was the worst thing that could have happened to me because instead of being petrified and scared straight, I had more of a relief in essence because I had heard so many scary stories about jail and they didn't match up to that little experience that I had. So it gave me a frame of mind as where like, shit, I don't care. That wasn't a bad experience. And from that point on, I was in and out of jail until I was about 5 years later, I was 15. And I ended up catching the case and going to California Youth Authority for 3.5 years. And that was my introduction into the system.
Mm-hmm. And so, you was in and out of jail, or like after that first time, how long did you stay?
I got out, I paroled from YTS, which is a division of California Youth Authority, February 14th, 1992. And
Mm.
by August, I was back on the run. I was doing home invasion robberies up in Palos Verdes. And so I caught a case. I was arrested for doing one. And I had actually escaped on my way from transport on my way to the county jail. And
Mm.
so I escaped in August of 1992. It was all over the news, and I actually got away. And I ended up moving to Las Vegas for about 10 months. And on the way back to California uh, to do some things, I was apprehended.
Mm. That's
And
crazy.
basically from that point, everything came up, all the warrants and whatnot. So I was taken back to the original court and sentenced to 6 years.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, so I ended up doing 5 years and was released in 97, in the 97.
That's your longest time you ever done?
No, no. I got out in 97 and I caught another case in 99.
Mm.
I fought that case for about 9 months, went to trial, was found not guilty. So I was released in 2000, and then I was back again in a few months, and I was sentenced to prison. I was sentenced to 21 years in prison with 85%. Uh, I fought that particular case pro per, where I acted as my own attorney. And while in prison, I received a full reversal from the appellate courts, which sent me back to the sentencing court for a retrial. At that point, I negotiated a deal for 9 years, a 9 year sentence, and I ended up doing a little over 7 years on that case.
Mm,
It was released. I was released in May of 2008. From that point,
mm,
I felt like, hey, I'm going to be on the good foot. I just did this 7 years. It's time to change up the program. And I was basically programming. And I ended up getting caught up again 1 year later to the month because of some things that somebody else was doing. And it ended up leading to me being arrested for some marijuana.
mm.
Less than an ounce of marijuana that was found in a house that I wasn't even in.
You still got
But
that charge on your record because now that
it no,
marijuana legal.
it's actually gone now. But
Oh,
at this particular time in 2009, they
mm.
were actually trying to give me a third strike for this marijuana.
Oh wow.
And so I had to take it all the way up to trial. I had to pay for an attorney all the way up to trial. And after picking my jury, the judge asked me, was there anything that I would take? And because the position I was in was compromised and made my defense weaker, I ended up settling for a deal and taking a deal for 32 months. And so when I was released in 2011 for that marijuana possession, I've been out ever since and been on the good foot.
Mm. So, how did your time in prison shape your outlook on life and your future goals?
Well, honestly, my time in prison gave me a face to face exposure to real racism. It gave me a face to face exposure to what black men were really up against. It gave me an eye opening on how relations with ourselves was so fucked up.
Mm.
It allowed me to see that all of the fighting that we do amongst these ourselves would go out the window on level fours in prison. People who we thought were our enemies and this, that, and another turned out to be some of our best friends. And so that was a real eye opening, you know what I'm saying, perspective on life. Uh, the racism that black men suffer in prison, in essence, was really a catapult to me getting on the good foot in essence. Although I have always been, because of my upbringing, pro black, you can't really claim to be pro black and then still be a detriment to the community. It
Right.
doesn't go together. You dig what I'm saying? And so after dealing with that type of situation and just seeing the real, you have a real eye opening perspective when you're actually locked up and not fucking around. What I mean by fucking around is being caught up in bullshit. You really have a time to where you can focus on what's real and learn from your mistakes if you choose to. Not
Mhm.
everybody goes through those eye-opening experiences or in the time frame that I went through, because in all honesty, I believe that it took me a long time to get on the page that I am now, simply because I just didn't believe fat meat was greasy for a long time.
You didn't believe fat meat was greasy.
Yeah. Yep.
That's cool. Can you share some of the key challenges you faced after your release and how you overcame them?
Well, one of my biggest challenges was my mental deception. What I mean by that is I've been programmed to believe that, for one, as a black man coming out of prison, there would be no opportunities for success. This is something that you think that you see because that's what's around you. And so you kind of accept that. Man, I can't work for nobody. Nobody wants to trust me. This, that, and another. And so once I got out of that mind state and I took the entrepreneur pathway, I saw that I really put a lot of limitations on myself. Yes, they are there. Yes, we do have barriers, but it's all about what's in you. You know, if you're willing to go the extra mile, which you have to if you want to be a success in any form, just because of who we are, that's what you have to do.
Right.
And you can't allow outside influences to influence you negatively. You just got to keep pushing. And I think one of the things that really helped me out was what I believe people in third world countries go to, or impoverished countries who come to the United States. Once you've lived a certain way and you come into this situation, you learn to appreciate things more. You learn to appreciate the little things. So, what I mean by that was when I hit these streets and I learned to appreciate the things that I didn't have and what I did have while I was in prison, it was like if you could be happy with getting or excited about getting a cup of ice, now that you're on the streets, you got all the access in the world to ice. You learn to appreciate the smaller things. When you learn to appreciate the smaller things, to me, your life is a lot easier because you're not caught up in what you don't have. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to what you do have.
Right, 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 right. Can you talk about the emotional impact of losing your wife and how it influenced your perspective on life and business? And let's talk about that.
Okay.
Let that happen.
Okay.
What was going down with that?
Okay. Just for a little clarification, my wife passed in 2015 from complications of a seizure. And when
Mm,
she passed, we had two kids living in the home. We had her son and we had my daughter. We had a daughter together. And she had a son with another man who was also deceased.
mm,
And so I believe at that time my daughter was about 14 and her brother was about 19, 20. And they were still living in the home. And it automatically pushed me into the responsible parent,
mm,
as in essence. You know, a lot of times when you have somebody to lean on, then you give them, more responsibility, or not even more responsibilities, but you don't have to deal with everything. You know what I'm
right.
saying? It's to the point where I don't have to worry about picking my daughter up from school because my wife can do it. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to worry about cooking because my wife can do it. But when she passed, now I'm thrust into the role of everything.
Mm,
And so I believe because of that, I really never ever had a chance to actually even mourn my wife's death. But
mm,
I move better under intense pressure. So it just allowed me to step my game up and perfect it because now I am the full-time father of two kids. And like I said, my son now, he is now without both biological parents.
mm,
So I had to be there for him double time. And of course, for my daughter in losing her mother.
mm,
So it was a lot on me, but I had no complaints because it actually, I believe, made me a better man and just allowed me to see things in different perspective from all the way around, which made me a better person.
mm. How old were they when you had to take care of them on your own?
Well, like I said, my daughter, she was in her, so it was 2015. So that means my daughter actually, excuse me, she was 16.
Mm,
She was in her what, second year of high school.
mm,
And then her brother is actually 5 years older than her. So he was 21.
mm,
But he had also just come home from prison 1 year prior to that himself.
mm,
And so, we had a lot of growing up to do real fast. And we had to bond and come together and realize that we had to make this work. And we had to look at it as from, the perspective as we got to keep things together. We want to make your mother proud, looking at the accomplishments that we're going to actually, perform in the near future and whatnot. And so I think I did a good job. My daughter is about 10 months out of graduating from law school. Her
mm.
brother, yeah, her brother, he's in a management position in Washington. And so I feel they're doing real good in life. He actually has two kids, made me a grandfather. And so I mean, I don't have any complaints. Keeping it 100.
I was gonna ask you if there's anything that you could have done different as a parent. What would it have been?
You know what? I ain't trying to do nothing different. I think everything that I did in the past and right now has a profound effect on me and everybody around me. I think that I was a stern father, always have been, but at the same time, like I said, I pushed the line. I pushed the line with everything. My kids knew that I was very serious, but I didn't. I reward my kids for doing good, but if you fucking up, you're gonna get fucked up. Is the bottom line, and I wouldn't change that because I believe that that is why they have the discipline that they have right now.
Mm-hmm. How did you balance the demands of being a father and running a business, being a supportive person for the
Well, I
family?
mean, when you're on your own, it's either sink or swim. If you don't do it, ain't nobody else gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? So that's just the bottom line. And so if I didn't want to be looked at as a failure in essence in people's eyes for not doing the right thing or dropping the ball or walking away from my responsibility, those are none of the things that I want to ever be looked at as. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be that father who was there. So I'm there. I'm attending all the sporting events. I'm attending all the academic events. My kids, for me, were first.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Off the back, always have been. But in that aspect, you go above and beyond. And so, with me doing the time that I did and realizing that it's family first, you know what I'm saying, and it is reciprocating the love and respect that's given to you, then your circle gets smaller. You're not worried about what's going on outside your household because it's not affecting what's going on inside your household. You're not worrying about what you know distant family members or friends are thinking because they don't pay no bills in your house. They're not raising your kids, disciplining your kids. They're not there on a 24-hour basis. So that allows me to just brush my shoulders off to anything other than what needs to be done. And raising my kids and make sure that we're provided for, what I'm saying, comfortably
Mm-hmm.
was my goal. And I achieved that.
Okay. Um, what uh, what role has your support network, including friends and family, played in your journey?
Played a excellent role. I do little TikTok videos and whatnot, and I still to this day make videos thanking the people who were around me, who supported me throughout my life. When I was in prison and the youth authorities and whatnot, I looked at people around me who had no support at all. They didn't receive, even in the form of just letter writing, moral support. They didn't have that. And I did have that. I had that 100%. And so that right there keeps you going. Knowing that somebody's pulling for you when you haven't been pulling for yourself accordingly. I remember an incident when I was in a Lancaster prison and I got caught doing some things in the visiting room. No, excuse me, back that up. That's not how it went.
What you mean you got caught doing some
Hold
things?
on. No, 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 no. What had happened was what had happened. No, different story, different story.
No,
When
I
I
want
went
to
to
hear
the
the
Lancaster
story.
prison.
No. You don't start the story now to try to back.
No, but listen though, but they can tie into each other. They can tie into each other.
Mm,
Okay, Lancaster Prison is really not called Lancaster Prison. People just think that because it's in Lancaster, because and so the abbreviation is LAC, but LAC actually stands for Los Angeles County. So that is the only prison in Los Angeles County. So if you happen to be in that prison and you're from LA, you're getting all the visits. You know what I'm saying? That visiting room stayed packed because it was a local prison for us. And so because of that, your visiting actually lasts from on a normal visiting started about 9, 10 o'clock and it lasts all the way till 3 o'clock. You can be in visiting from that time. But because it was so packed, they was giving us like 30 minutes to visit with our family members. Right. And so I go out to visit and my wife came to see me and my kids. And so they have vending machines, food machines in the visiting room. So she got up And this is when we first came in. You want something from the visiting? Oh, from the vending. Okay. So she goes to the vending machine and there's a line. So she's in line getting some food. I'm visiting with my daughter. And all of a sudden, Mcguire, your visit's up. Say what? My wife ain't even sat down yet. You talking about my visit's up? Check this out, dog. I'm not going nowhere. Mcguire, your visit's up. Okay, you must didn't hear me. I'm not going nowhere. And they was trying to say that because of overcrowding, right? I'm like, man, I'm not going nowhere, man. We just gonna tear this bitch up. It is what it is. I'm finna lay this whole visiting room down because if I can't get mine, can't nobody get this. It is what it is. So I'm on mine. Everybody in the visiting room looking, you know what I'm saying? Is tension in the air. The police is coming, but they really don't want this scene neither in front of all of these visitors and whatnot. And it was a cat from Bunny Hunter that was a visiting porter, which means he worked in the visiting room. And he was a lifer. And he came up to me like, hey, here, check this out. Now, you know, I'll ride with you, whatever you want to do. He said, but I ain't got nobody out there. This is all I got. So this little pay number that he was getting paid, he's probably getting paid about $40 a month to work in the visiting room. He's letting me know this is all I got, man. And if I ride with you, it's gonna be fucked up. I'm going to the shoe. You know what I'm saying? You got family. And that stopped me in my tracks because I had been to the shoe programs before. I'd done all that shit. And I knew that even in the shoe program, I was gonna be taken care of. But I knew that if he didn't come to the same shoe that I came to, then I couldn't look out for him. And he would have sacrificed the things that he had for me and what I was gonna do. And I'll never forget, I just looked at him and something came over and I said, you know what, homie? Merv from Bunny Hunter. I said, you know what, homie? I feel what you're talking about. And for you, not these motherfuckers up in here, not nobody else, but for you, I'm gonna go ahead and take it back to the unit. And you could see the relief over everybody in the visiting room, including the police, that I had walked up out of there. And the thing was, I had a history of police assaults. So they knew it was going to be real. They knew it wasn't no bluffing going on. And so now we can go to the other story. So at this particular time now, they are closing down the yard I was on, which was the B yard, because they're going to turn it into a reception. So they're transferring everybody out to different prisons. So now here it is, you comfortable, you LA County, your people live down the street. My actual house, I couldn't see, but if you stood in my backyard, you could see the prison. That's how close I was to it. And so, but now they finna transfer you wherever they got room. So that means up north, further down south, all of this type of stuff. We know that this transfer is coming up. And so I'm in the visiting room, and me and my wife are in there doing some things we ain't supposed to be doing, right? So hear my name on the intercom again. Mcguire report to the front, and I'm like, that fool didn't say my name. So we still like, And he was like, Mcguire. I said, oh shit. So I walk up there. He was like, your visit's over with. I'm like, all right, man. He tell my wife bye. Make it fast. So I tell her bye. So I'm just like, oh, I'm finna go to the hole and everything, right? So they gave me a pass and they didn't do shit. And I think it was because of, a couple of weeks prior that I didn't trip. So they, I'm saying, one hand washes another. They gave me a pass. They didn't write me up or nothing. Send me back to the unit. And so we got away with that. So that's how that story kind of entwines. And that's why I kind of started off with. But it was the fact that going back to what we was talking about, it was the family support that I had that really kept me going. It was a time that I had caught a major assault and I was in Centinela prison. And while I was in the hole, Calipatria prison had went off, which was right up the street. And this was a time when the East Coast Crips ran up in the program office and stabbed a bunch of polices.
What year was
And
this? I didn't hear about that.
this was you didn't hear about this. This was
I mean, hey, sometimes I just don't be knowing stuff. Shoot. It was
yeah.
one point in my life
Okay,
I was
this was very major in the prison system. They called CDC to spend millions of dollars in reconstruction of the level 4 yards. And so
What year you said it was?
this was a 95 or 94.
Oh, okay, I was still a
Let me
baby.
think. Let me think. Because I got my reversal in 95. So I want to say this possibly was toward the end of 94.
Mm,
Possibly toward the end of 94.
mm,
I got my reversal in 95. Yeah, so I think it was about the end of 94. But I was already in the hole. So anyway, Calipatria was right up the street. And they couldn't keep them because almost like a conflict of interest. They couldn't keep those that they said did this in Calipatria as said, because they're gonna be subjected to a whole bunch of crazy shit. So they
mm.
put them on a bus and moved them to Centinela, where I was at. So we all in a hole. So when it comes time for us, we got our shoe programs, and what a shoe program is like, it's like being on the streets and going to jail, getting sentenced, then going to prison. Well, same thing. You're in ASEG, which is the hole. You get sentenced, then you go into the shoe program. So that's the next step. And we were all in. Okay, so let me kind of back this up a little bit also. So the East Coasters that were left
Mm.
on in Calipat, who didn't get involved in what transpired, they were abused, they were beaten, they were tortured by the guards of CDC. They were put on buses and transferred to prisons, and they were tortured at these other prisons. But mind you, they had nothing directly to do with the actual stabbings other than they were East Coast gang members. That was it.
And so I was gonna ask you about this because I was like, oh, one of my key questions, but I don't want you to answer it right now. But I do want to just put it out there about that guilty by association type of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, and a
I
lot
mean,
of
that's exactly what it was. And so they transferred a lot to Corcoran. It made news. They actually even got lawsuits. A lot of these dudes were paid because of the
mm,
way that they were beaten by these guards. So
mm,
anyway, now we go back to my story in the family support. So now I'm in Cinderella, I'm in the hole. And I got shot while I was in the hole by prison guards.
what?
So yeah, they shot me up in there. And so time went by. I had two surgeries. So now it's time to transfer. And all of us are now going to Pelican Bay. Shoot. But in going to Pelican Bay, shoot, Centinela Prison is the farthest prison southerly in California. Pelican Bay is the farthest prison normally. So you can't just drive straight there. You have to do what's called layovers in prisons that might possibly be in the middle point. And a layover means you pull up to that prison and you get dinner, you go to sleep, and they wake you back up the next morning to complete the journey. Well, all of us are now sentenced to go to Pelican Bay, and we are all going on the same bus to Pelican Bay. So
Mm,
now you have at least nine of us who all have prison guard assaults and
mm,
major assaults.
mm.
So in our mind, we know they taking us somewhere and finna fuck us up because this is what they've been doing to
That's not
everybody
funny, but
else.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but this is what they've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
So at this particular time, I just had my second surgery. So my arm is in a sling, and I had long hair at the time. And my hair was braided up, and you're not supposed to wear braids in transport. Anytime you're going from any prison, whatnot, you're not supposed to have braids in your hair. But my hand, I'm bandaged up. Fuck it. I had my celly braid my shit up. So my parents, my mother in particular, wrote a letter to the director of CDC. She wrote a letter to the I forget the name of it. The warden of Corcoran Prison, the
Mm,
warden of Pelican Bay, and she wrote a letter to the governor,
mm,
professionally typed up, whatnot, whatever. Hey, my son is on his way to Pelican Bay,
mm,
and we have been aware of the mistreatment of inmates during
mm,
transit to these prisons who have these particular types of assaults.
mm,
We're putting you on notice now that if something happens to them, here's our attorney. We're gonna be on that ass.
mm,
So the time of the transfer, we're going to Corcoran. We're going to do a layover in Corcoran. Corcoran is one of the main prisons that has been doing this torturing to inmates coming through there with these assaults, with these houses.
mm.
So
What's it called
you get
again?
shackled up,
What's
huh?
it called again?
It's called Corcoran Prison. I mean,
Court.
you Corcoran Prison. You can look that up. They actually have killed inmates up in there. You know what I'm saying? For the type of stuff that they was doing. And it's what they call Central Valley. It's in up around a little bit north of Bakersfield, Fresno. It's in that area up there. Okay, so bam, we headed up there. This is that particular day. Now the bus, this particular bus, they don't pull up to R&R. They pull up on the yard to where the housing units is. So being that we pull up on the shoe, and when you're in the shoe program, you don't have a actual a yard to recreate on. It's completely empty. It's like a ghost town, right? So when we pull up on the bus, we on the bus in this ghost town, and we don't see anybody. But then all of a sudden, we see about 10 golf carts with prison guards, like 4 to 5 people on a golf cart. They hanging off the sides. They got riot gear. This is what we call the reception crew. We like, oh, we finna get it. They finna do what they do, right?
Mm.
So when you get off the bus and you walk down the stairs, they have a chair, and you lean onto you knee on the chair so they could take your ankle bracelets off because you got ankle chains on, so you can take them off, and they give
Mm.
you this little speech. Now the norm is this: when you come off, you lean on this chair, they take them off, and then the police will line up on
Mm.
both sides of you, and you
Mm.
would have to walk through these police while they're assaulting you, beating you with billy clubs, all sorts of shit. This is the
Mm.
type of shit that they was doing, right? So
Mm.
we all getting prepared for this shit. So the bus sits up so high, and the windows, the way the windows was made, you couldn't see what was happening basically to anybody once they stepped off that bus. But if you kind of look through the front window, you could see the building and inmates being lined up against this building who just got off this bus. And you could see that their jumpsuits and shit look arrayed, like something that happened to them. You know what I'm saying? By the time they get over here.
Oh wow.
So so when it's my time to get off of the bus,
Mm.
like I say, I got my arm in the sling, my hair is braided up, step off. And this is another thing: when you step off the bus, they want you to look at the sky. They do not want you to look down and make eye contact with any of these guards. They don't want you to see, particularly, try to see who's doing anything to you. So they want you to step off the bus with your head up to the sky. I didn't do that. I stepped off the bus. I'm looking down at what I need to see. So they tell me to lean on the chair. And as I'm on the chair, I feel one of the guards tug on one of my braids, as
Mm.
if he's asking one of these other cats, like, what the fuck he doing with braids? But then another guard say he's good. I walk through the thing, they don't touch me. I get over there to the wall where everybody at. Like I say, you can see these jumpsuits and shit, but they haven't really been abused. You could tell they've been like manhandled, but they weren't beat on. You know what I'm saying? And particularly at this particular time, they kind of got a little eyes on them because now
Mm.
this is like a year after the actual assaults. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
We've been in the whole fighting this shit all this time. And
Yeah.
so it was funny to me that I remember that the gang unit came and questioned everybody, like, where you from? Where you from? And none of the homies from East Coast today was from East Coast. They was like block,
Yeah.
neighborhood. But none of them wanted to say East Coast out their mouth because they
Mm.
knew what these police was doing. And I mean, we shackled up. You know what I'm saying? You can't see, you know what I'm saying? They got you all in blind spots and shit. So, they say it's self-preservation over anything. And so we spent the night there, and then we on our way to Pelican Bay. But like what I say by family structure, my family was there, and they were the reason that nothing happened to me.
Mm.
Because anytime that law enforcement inside these correctional facility thing, if they don't think you got anybody looking out for you, they'll do some terrible things to you. But if they know that somebody's gonna get on their ass, then they be like, okay, if he keep cool, we keep cool type situation. That's been my experience.
Mm.
That's been my experience. Sometimes it don't matter. Whatever situation you in, you just might get fucked up. But they've always known who I was ahead of time and gave me a little leeway. And
Mm.
particularly because they knew that my assaults were real. A lot of times the police would jump on people and give them an assault to justify their beating. But with me, I was the one getting off first in every situation. So they
Mm.
knew that you wasn't gonna be comfortable around me fucking with me.
Mm.
So With that being the case, they gave me, I feel, a pass, and I gave them a pass because I'm like, if you don't fuck with me, I ain't gonna fuck with you. I'm gonna mind the rules. You ain't got to worry about me. And for the most part, that would happen unless I just ran across an inexperienced CEO that didn't know no better,
Mm,
and it would lead to something else.
mm,
And so, but it was that family support that came in to play a lot of times while I was in prison. So
mm,
I owed them an obligation once I was set free to do right. You know, that was my motivation to keep pushing even when shit got heavy.
mm. Shout out to the family if y'all
Hell yeah.
watching
And I got, you know, I got friends. I got friends too, you know what I'm saying?
in the
And of
friend.
course, all the women in my life. They played a pivotal role, you know what I'm saying? Even including the exes. Everybody's played a role in shaping me and helping me become a better man. Everybody.
Hmm. Okay, how do you approach risk taking in your business ventures?
Um, I don't think that there is a such thing as risk. If you want to succeed, then you got to do what you got to do to succeed. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to minimize the negative risk, then that means you got a plan for everything. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? You got to be prepared in what you're doing, and you have to, you have to think about it and comprehend it, what can go wrong, and then try to come up with something to stop that from happening.
mm,
And so, like this year, I've been involved in other things. I had owned a mechanic shop. I had co-owned a mechanic shop for 4 years, and that's something else that I mean. What I be talking about when you depending on other people, you don't always give your full 100% because you feel like they got it, and so that kind of makes you, it makes me, I'll say, I can't say everybody, kind of relaxed in the position. So I closed my mechanic shop in September of last year. But I told myself in the beginning of this year, and I still had my landscaping business. But I told myself at the beginning of this year, I'm finna put my all into it and bubble. And so I bought a new truck, bought a new trailer and some equipment, and it's been all up since. It's been all up.
that's what's up. That is what's up. What advice do you have for others who are looking to turn their lives around and pursue their dreams after facing significant setbacks?
Planning and preparation. Like they say, how does the saying go? If you fail to plan to fail. That's
Hmm.
real. That's real. You got to
Really?
take the first steps. You got to do your own research. You have to do your research. It's okay to ask people opinions and whatnot, but nobody can tell you exactly what needs to be done if they haven't been in that position. It's like a broke motherfucker always trying to tell you how to get rich. It's like
Mm-hmm.
a single motherfucker always trying to
I'm
tell
trying
you
to
what to
tell
do
you
in a
relationship
relationship.
advice. Exactly.
You
Exactly.
single as fuck. You know what I'm saying?
Kills
So
me right there.
yeah, so you have to do the research. You have
Right.
to find if you're trying to get into some entrepreneurship, then you have to really figure out the demand
Mm.
and find out, who's all doing it. Find out what they've done. You could talk to them, ask them, what their, experience is in it or whatnot. But you have to do the research. You have to do the research and you have to pay yourself. Simple and plain. You can't put all your resources into something, especially in a business that you're trying to take off, and not pay yourself because most businesses don't make money when they first take off.
It actually when
Statistically, they
because I got my degree in business management, right? And
yeah,
so one of the things that my professors will always tell me when it's like, about starting a business and stuff, it usually takes up to 5 years for your business to be successful.
yes,
Hmm.
so if you plan on something, start small because your overhead can kill you.
Hmm.
So is instead of leasing shit or whatnot, if you can pay cash for your equipment, so that'll limit your overhead if things slow down, if things are not going right. At least your overhead will be limited.
That's very important. I'm glad you said that. You sound kind of smart because when I was
Just a
doing my
little bit,
accounting
just a little bit.
courses, I had to take accounting, right? And
Yeah,
that was very important when it comes to overhead and working at operating at a loss. Because when you first start a business, you're gonna be operating at a loss because you're investing your time in the business. I mean, you're
yeah,
investing in the business and
and,
building.
and anything you've already bought is a loss. You haven't made money
Mm.
off of it. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So that you're gonna lost that. So you start making money to pay for everything that you bought, you're gonna always be in the red. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
You don't get into the black until everything has been paid for. And now you're making a profit. That's
Right.
the only time. And sometimes it takes long. Like I tell you what I say when I started off my landscaping. I didn't go to Lowe's and buy no new ass equipment. I went and bought my shit from a yard sale that works just as proper, and I got it for cheap. You see what I'm saying? I didn't go trying to buy top of the line everything. I didn't go get a storefront to operate up out of. For what? For what? And a lot of people do that. You know, they go get storefronts because I don't know if they think that's going to legitimize their business because they can say, I got an address over here or what. But a lot of times that storefront will sink your ass trying to keep up with that lease.
Right, right, right. And two, like when you first starting off your business, the main goal should be about building your brand, letting people know that you're there, letting people know that you know who you are. That should be the main focus. But
Mm.
can you share a specific instance where you faced a major obstacle in your business and how did you overcome it?
Uh, I would think that the only, and I don't really call it a major obstacle, but is it you deal with people that try to set your prices. And you have to learn to deal with that. I deal with it as is. I tell people all the time. I'm not Walmart. I don't do no price matching. If you feel you can get the service, for cheaper from somebody else, then that's where you need to go. Because see, with me, I'm gonna guarantee you that the shit is right. I take pride in my work, and I'm gonna do what you want to be done until you're satisfied. I'm not gonna give you no half-ass jobs or none of that bullshit. Dig what I'm saying? So I know what I'm worth, and I don't allow people to play me on my prices. That's what I don't do, and you'll find that a lot of times. And really, when you're into landscaping, a lot of people's perception, I believe, is, oh, that's nothing ass work. That don't take no skill. Woo, 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 woo. So we don't believe it's worth that much. But I noticed that happens with people of our color. Because motherfuckers ain't negotiating everybody, they ain't negotiating with everybody else about their price.
Nah,
But they
you know
always want to negotiate with our prices.
that's
You know what
one
I'm
of my
saying?
biggest problems with business. No, don't nobody really like just because they know me and all this, or they might be friends or family. They don't respect my knowledge that I have. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
I
they
had,
rather go and pay like they'll pay like $200, $300. Right now, I've been working for the like at the Geek Squad. They'll go pay $200, $300, $400 a Geek Squad. Right now,
yeah,
I've been working. I've worked for Geek Squad, and I was working as an independent contractor, doing fixing computers remotely. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And then they'll still have the same problem, and then they want to call me and offer me 20. You still got the same problem.
I did a job for a lady last week, and I had my price, and she agreed to my price, and I did the job, and she called me and asked me if I would give her a discount because it didn't take me a long time to do my job. I said, "Excuse me? You didn't pay for my time. You paid for my expertise and my skill." Dig what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? So if I would have just sat there for an hour longer, then you'd have been satisfied. This ain't the way the game go. But she literally was trying to get me to give her a discount because it didn't take me a long time to do the work. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, man, that shit is just crazy to me. How, we get treated out here in this game. And I'm steadfast on mine. I explained to you, you agreed to the price. I told you exactly what I was gonna do. You know what I'm saying? If it was so easy, why didn't you do it and your family members do it? I say the reason being is, I say, you see this $5,500 trailer I got here? You don't have that. I say, you see this 20-something thousand dollar truck I got? You don't have that to do the job. That
Mm-hmm.
shit don't pay for itself. You know what I'm saying? And so it's crazy that we even have to even explain these type of things to
Right,
people. But
right.
this is what they do. And so I would only think that that was my. Oh, you know what my biggest obstacle is? Finding consistent workers.
Mm-hmm.
People are always talking about there's no work and this, that, and another. And I've hired. I think I don't know what everybody else does, but I think that I'm probably one of the only people that can say that I have employed 90% of my homeboys.
Mm-hmm.
I have employed 90% of my homeboys, which is a lot, and nobody is still here working because
Mm,
I work for real. I work for real. I'm gonna pay you what is a good wage. They take the money. They like the money, but they don't want to work like I work. I was at a job site yesterday on a Sunday, and I pulled
mm,
up to that motherfucker at 6:30 in the morning and handled that business. You know what I'm saying? When I went to go get it, do the quote on Saturday, we at first said Monday, but then I got to thinking about it. I'm like, the fuck? I'm just gonna be sitting around on Sunday doing nothing anyway. Let me go to work. So I hit him back. What you feel about me pulling up tomorrow? He said, man, do what you do. I said, I'm gonna be there early. And I was there at 6:30 in the morning. I don't give a damn about no Sundays. I don't give a damn about no motherfucking holidays. That shit don't mean nothing to me. You know what
mm.
I'm saying? It don't mean nothing to me. I'm gonna get out there and get it. So a lot of people don't have my work ethic. So it's hard to find workers who is actually gonna work on my level.
Yeah, that's for sure. Um, how do you define, excuse me, let me get it right. How do you define success and how has that definition evolved over time?
Okay, success used to be materialistic shit. I felt like that was the gauge for success. Now success for me is drama free, peace of mind. See, a lot of people don't have a peace of mind. A lot of people ain't drama free. I consider that success. Dig what I'm saying? I'm in my house right now, AC on. I'm in Lancaster. It was 115 degrees yesterday. It's 114 today. I got the AC on. I'm chilling. Peace of mind. I ain't got no drama in my life. This is success to me. This
Mm,
is success. Dig what I'm saying? I know a whole lot of people, they got a whole lot of money that's real miserable. They wake up miserable. And I'm
mm-hmm,
talking about real financially successful people. So to me, this is success. Success is being able to give back, being in a position to give back and help people who are in a less position, less fortunate position than you are. That's success to me.
mm-hmm. What are some valuable lessons you've learned through your experiences, both professional and personal?
A valuable lesson. Can I consider it a lesson? Yeah, I guess you could take it as a lesson because I learned from it. And my father once told me that no matter what position you in, somebody's always in a worse position. And that frame of mind has brought me a long way. You know, um, when I've been in places or in certain times of my life where I felt like I wanted to complain about some things. And then I just thought about that saying in life, somebody in a worse position, like I was just now saying, I'm sitting here under the AC. My homeboy told me his AC went out on Thursday. He waiting for it to get repaired now. We triple digits and he ain't got no AC. See what I'm saying? So he's suffering from that. It's hot in his fucking house. So I'm appreciative of everything that I fucking have. And when you become appreciative of what you have and not what you don't have, like I say, life is a lot more easier. So that's a valuable lesson. Always appreciate what you do have instead of what you don't have. Stop worrying about what you don't have. Every
Uh-oh, something happened. I can hear you now, I think.
yeah, I had a call coming out of blocking. But
Uh,
so yeah, that's my most valuable lesson. And knowing that you have to get up and do what you need to be done. You have to do it. You can't depend on nobody else. Don't depend on nobody else. If somebody happens to lend you a hand or something, be grateful for that. But
mhm,
always depend on yourself to do what you need to be done.
mhm. How do you stay motivated and focused on your goals despite the challenges you face?
I stay motivated because I'm a motivator. I can't talk about success and doing right if I can't show people that I'm doing it, if I can't show people I'm living in life. So I know that people are watching me. I've been told. I have people, I've been in different states, and people have come up to me because they've recognized me from my TikTok videos, and they have told me how those videos have affected them in a positive light. So my motivation is everybody around me who I might be influencing with, if it's not my tales of bad to good or just the way that I'm living. I'm a living example of everything that I talk about. So
Mhm.
that's my motivator in itself. Being able to influence people and motivate other people, family members, my kids. Those are my motivations.
That's what's up. And what are your future plans and aspirations, both for your business and personal life?
Uh, Future plans. My
Hmm.
only future plan is to buy me some ranch property. I have a lot of cars, and I'm tired of moving them around every time I need to get to one or whatever. So I told myself 2 months ago, it's time for bigger property, so you don't
Hmm.
have to move all these cars around. That's really keeping it 100. That's my only future goal. Like I said, I don't have any complaints in life. You know what I'm saying? And as far as my business goes, right now I'm at a plateau that I'm kind of satisfied with because it allows me to lead a leisure life on top of other things that I do. I'm not overworked, I'm not overwhelmed. So me managing 31 properties, I'm good with that. You know what I'm saying? Because if unless I find somebody who has my work ethic that allows me to grow the business even bigger,
Hmm.
then I'm cool right now with what is going on in life.
Hmm.
So my only aspiration right now is just to buy a bigger house.
What
That's
about
it.
personal life?
Personal life,
Hmm. Personal life, yeah.
um, in my personal life, I'll just say that I will hope that on a I'll just say romantic level that things would progress to a spot where everybody is happy.
Oh, so are you seeing someone right now, or are you single,
I
engaged?
mean, I'm not engaged. You're single until you're married.
Hmm.
Bottom line. Bottom line.
Hmm.
Yes, I'm seeing someone. Yes, I am. But
Hmm.
you're single until you're married. You know what I'm saying? Until you make that ultimate sacrifice and that ultimate commitment to be as one, then you're gonna be single.
So no wedding bells down the line.
Anything is possible,
Hmm.
but at this current moment, no.
Okay. I'll ask those other questions on another time because now I got questions. Being nosy. Any final thoughts?
Any final thoughts?
Hmm.
Basically, I think. Let me. I would say I don't know when it actually occurred, but it had to occur in the last 50, about 20 years. I was sitting up one day in prison, and I was reminiscing and going down all the good things I did, all the bad things I did, and I've had a lot of good fortune, even though I was doing a lot of shit I wasn't supposed to, and it got to the point where it was like, why do you still continue to have good fortune when you know you be on some bullshit? And something clicked in me and told me that you need to get on the good foot. And at that point, I started changing up my perspective about life as far as realizing that everything wasn't about me. I made everything about me. And I said, you know what? It's not about you, dude. It's about everything around you and how you can be a better tool to the people around you, especially within mind of people that held my back. So when I changed that mind state and started really, because I still looked out for people, but I'll say on a 30% basis. Now I look out for people on a 90% basis. And I think that that point in life changed everything for me and has been the catalyst to all my good fortune because I continue to have good fortune. And I think it's because I give back so much now. I sacrifice a whole lot for people that I know and people that I don't know. You know, I feed the homeless. I actually cook meals and go out and I take them to the encampments. I feed people, I do hygiene packets. I'm always looking out for people now. And it feels good. And it feels good to me because to see the expression on people's faces when you do something for somebody out the blue to help them, you can almost see in their minds like they going through a transformation of like everybody ain't fucked up. Here this dude comes out of nowhere and he's trying to look out for me. And you can almost see the hope kind of like build up in him that we ain't in such a fucked up world. So I take pride in that in essence. You know what I'm saying? It's a feel good type thing. And so that's to me, that's something that I think that everybody should really understand. It ain't always about you. You're always making shit about you, then you wonder why you can't get ahead. You wonder why you keep having bad fortune and bad incidents because you're so fucking selfish. That's why. So you want to end it thought, man, start looking out for people. You know, it doesn't have to be financially. You can look out for people with good words. You can just go by, you put a smile on somebody's face who otherwise wouldn't have smiled, you know, by giving a compliment. Anything that can make somebody else feel better, it will make you feel better at the end of the day.
So thank you so much, Therin, for sharing your incredible journey with us. Your story is a powerful reminder that no matter what challenge we face, with determination and a clear plan, we can overcome and achieve great things. For our listeners, I hope you guys are inspired, and I hope you found inspiration in Therin's experience and insights. Remember, it's never too late to turn your life around and pursue your dreams. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on Mouth Off with Meika. Until next time, you guys.
Show who you are. Good Brit. Is you kidding? Bid the forbidden. As it was written, you overbidding. With the heathens, karma is a bitch, so how you living? Pray for my enemies, unforgiving. Cast the pearls on hog moms and chitlin'. If it's too hot, get your ass out the kitchen. Finger licking good, good looking. Stewing in the stew, I'm cooking. You psyched out, paranoid and shookin'. Shook the table, babes, I'm booking. Get prepared for this ass whooping. Listen to the words being spoken. You were talking, I'm awake and woken. While I'm spitting this, got your spit, got choking. Era up, a glimpse in my world, I shut open.